wanted to be a cop. Everyone was trying to get.
It was hard to be a cop.
Someone that can get them in to go to the academy, right? To get these things, it was a privilege.
Yes.
Now it's like, whew. I don't know, man. Something bad. I could be in a situation, and now it's the end of.
Next thing you know, you're on every single news station. Right. I mean, it's just I think it's really hard now to be a cop. I really do. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's not bad cops. Right. Of course there is. Right. We watched the George Floyd thing. We know there's bad cops. I'm not saying that. But the percentage is very small. I know people don't want to hear that, but it's true. Your father's going to tell you the same thing. The percentage is they're going to highlight the bad things. Right. Okay? That's they're going to highlight the bad things. But it hurts now because you're going to get people that don't want to be cops but just need jobs. Mm-hmm. You know, because cops are paying $70,000, $80,000 a year now. So somebody's going to say, hey, I'll take that job. I don't really want to be a cop, but I could use a $70,000, $80,000 a year job. And that's what's going to happen. You want people that want to be cops, not just need a job. And that's just my opinion.
And that's how they're going to make their decisions.
Yes.
Based on like, oh no, what do I do in this situation? Yes. It's going to make the whole thing look really, really bad.
Yes.
For the whole city, and then the whole defunding thing is going to highlight those things that everyone's like, yeah, see?
Yes.
And then that's something we see are things that are bad. We don't see the good things because no one talks about those things.
Nobody talks because it doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Bad sells. Mm-hmm.
So for you as a cop, like you've done many different avenues of police work.
Yeah.
How do you think that shaped you living your life during that and after? Was there a time in your life growing up, because you started when you were 20, that you just start to look at things completely differently? Yeah.
And you know what? I've been asked that's a great question. The one thing I could tell you what police work did to me, it shows you that death is real. Mm-hmm. Like, because we all don't face that. Like, I was seeing death every day. Okay, so at least 5 times a week I'm seeing death. I'm going to, because cops get called to people just that passed away because you got to investigate the death. It's a death investigation, okay? So you're seeing this every day, so you start worrying about your family members because death is real to you. A lot of people don't see death, but as a cop, you're seeing death on a daily basis. So I could say that death is real. That's what it put into my heart. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I'm born and raised Catholic, okay? Mm-hmm. And I was raised in a strict Catholic family. The one day I went to, this is a true story, my friend passed away from cancer, and then that night I was working a detail where I had an internship, a female intern that was in college. She was doing an internship with us. We got called to a car accident where they said there was a body in the middle of the road. We get to this car accident. I asked her if she wanted to stay in the car because when they're saying a body in the middle of the road, I know it's bad, okay? So I look at this body. I see the person. I could tell they're dead. I tell the other cop, get a blanket on them. Next thing I know, the cop says, hey, this looks like one of our cops. Believe it or not, it was one of my friends, and they didn't even recognize him. He was getting in a car accident. So I went to his car accident, one of my friends that passed away in the car accident. That night I went home. I said to now my ex-wife, but she was my wife at the time, I told her I didn't believe in God. So it did change you. I came home that night, and I said, I just don't believe in God anymore. I see these horrible things happen every day. I don't believe in God. And she said to me, what are we going to do about this? I said, something I got to work out, which I did. But I mean, yes, is there stress in police work? Yes, I'm sure your father tells you that. You don't leave that job every day. That job goes home with you. Yeah. You know, and you try not to, but it does.
Yeah, because you see things, you don't want to see, and that's just everyday life. And you become numb to it in a way where this is your job. But if you really sit back, I'm sure after your time, you think about the things you've heard, you've seen, the type of criminals you've met, you're like, oh my God, like, how do you even, materialize that, work through it to live a normal life where you kind of have hope in society in a way?
I agree with you, You start seeing all the negative things, so you become a negative person. And that happens to cops. They become negative because everything's negative. Their whole day's negative. So you got to try to turn that into a positive. I never really let it get to me. I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't. And one thing about cops, too, is we are offered help. We're offered therapists. We're offered everything. Every time we see a bad thing, they'll come to us and say, hey, listen, do you want to talk to somebody about this? And 99.999, your dad will tell you, there's no cop that's going to get help. Yeah. He's not gonna, because if he is, they're gonna say, hey, and I was a sergeant, they'd say, Sergeant Minor's crazy, he's getting help. Yeah. So you are tarnishing yourself if you get help. I know it's not right, but I'm telling you that's how it is.
And you don't want to look weak because something affected you that badly.
Yes.
Right, especially back then, too.
Yes.
The times
back then, it's better now.
Yeah.
We talked about this on our show today. the younger generation is better now. They're better about mental health. They're better about accepting everybody. Back then, if they would call you crazy.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people go out there and they want you to get help. They encourage you to get help. Look, I talk on my other show. I have ADHD, right? Mm-hmm. Back then, you wouldn't even talk about ADHD back then. But now it's all over. Yeah, that's a lie. You're just a bad kid. You know what I mean? That's what they did. So, yes, times have changed. The younger generation, you guys are better than us. Yeah. You just accept everybody. You encourage getting mental health. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the younger generation is better than us.
Yeah. You had it touched with this last story, but I was going to ask you, is there something that even though you don't let it get to you, there has to be at least one case or one instance where it's stuck with you? If you ever think back on your how many years that you worked in the force, you kind of like, there was this one time, man, I'll never forget that one time. Yeah. Do you have one of those moments?
Yeah. There's a couple times through your career that you want to quit. Mm-hmm. Honestly, you want to quit. And most cops will quit in their first 2 years. If they don't quit in them first 2 years, they're going to make it. Okay? But in them first 2 years, I've wanted to quit so many times, I can't even tell you. Okay? That I would come home at night and think to myself, what am I doing? This is ridiculous that I put myself through this every night. I mean, honestly, you get to that point, but then you get used to it. And your father's going to tell you it's just what it is, you know, and you just deal with it. But if I think of one story that almost made me quit, and this story's going to shock you, okay? We had a business owner in town, okay, that he owned this little restaurant, and he hired this little boy that was like 11, 12 to come in there and help him clean the place. This little boy didn't have a father. He was raised by a single mother. And I'm going to be honest with you, he took advantage of this boy, and he ended up molesting this kid. The kid was only 10, 11 years old. We arrest the business owner, okay, take him to jail. He goes to jail. Trial comes. A lot of people like this guy because he's a big businessman in town. They were blaming us for wrongfully saying that this guy did this, okay? But this kid was adamant that this guy molested him numerous times throughout his life, okay? And we had evidence, we had search warrants. Long story short, we go through a 2-week trial. And the jury kept coming back. We can't come up with a decision, this and that. And the judge said, keep going back. They're like, we're going to be a hung jury. You know, there was like 7 that thought guilty, you know, like 5 that didn't think he was guilty. And then it kept going back and forth. Long story short, they found him not guilty. Wow. And it devastated me. Because now I got to go back and look at this victim, look at his mother, and say, I'm sorry. We lost. You know what I mean? We lost this case, and I know this guy's an evil man, and there's nothing I could do for you. So I went home that night. I wanted to quit. Honest to God, I wanted to quit. I thought, what the heck am I doing? I'm done with this. But I kept going through it. But now here's the end of this story. 10 years later, are you ready? This is how sad this stuff is. 10 years later, I'm watching the news. And they're like, this man's arrested for molesting 3 kids, this and that. It's my victim. My victim now became the predator. It's a bad story, isn't it? My victim now became the predator. My victim is now 20-some years old, and he molested 3 kids. It's a process. You know, maybe if we convicted that guy, maybe he didn't do this. I don't know. But honestly, I almost fainted when I saw him on TV. I'm like, oh my God, that was my victim from 10 years ago. So that was one of them cases like, you throw your hands up and you think, this world's awful. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just feel this world's awful.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like you're guilty in a way for not doing more?
Sometimes,
even though you know you did, you're kind of like, maybe I could have changed the narrative. Because this could have all been a psychological thing where, you know, he lost hope. Right? Yes. You see a lot of times when people see it, it becomes a trend that those people normalize this behavior, be like, okay, well, if no one believed me and this was okay to the public, then clearly that's normal. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And he had a real good defense attorney. And his defense attorney in closing, I'll never forget it. And when he said it, I'll be honest with you, I knew we were in trouble. When he looked at the jury and he said, listen, there's smoke. I'll admit there's smoke. There's smoke that will fill this whole room. But there's not fire. And if there's not fire, you can't convict them. And I'll remember this forever. Yeah. And I remember sitting there next to the DA and thinking, we're in trouble. I just saw it on the jury's face. I knew we were in trouble at that point. And we ended up losing the case. I mean, it was a 2-week jury trial. I lost other cases, but that case just really stuck with me because I know the guy was guilty. You know what I mean? I know he was guilty, so it bothered the heck out of me.
Yeah, it wasn't something where you didn't have evidence or there's something where you're like, okay, it's he said, she said.
Yes.
It was very much set in stone, and for some reason,
yes,
by a God that you may or may not believe in, it happened to be in his favor. Now, you focus a lot on your TikTok. You talk about big cases that are going on right now, either cold cases or cases that are now kind of going through process. The biggest one that I saw in your profile was the Kohlberger case.
Yes.
That happened to the students.
Yeah.
Is that one of the bigger ones that you're passionate about? Is there another one that you're also passionate about? What's your...
The Kohlberger case is huge. It made me. It really did. Like, I went from that Kohlberger case, I went from 50,000 followers to 100,000 followers like that.
Yeah.
And I think that people like me because I do have knowledge. So when people talk about court, other true crime creators don't have that police background. I've been in court thousands of times, so I know every single thing they're talking about, and I think that's why people follow me. That Kohlberger case was huge for me. Another case that I've always been bothered by was JonBenet Ramsey. And there is a case out in Ireland. His name is Donahue. I don't know if you saw that case. It's sort of like the JonBenet of Ireland.
A child, right?
Yeah, he's a child that was murdered in Ireland. So that's another case that I do. But TikTok has been very, very, very good to me. It really is. It's opened doors for me that you would not believe. I mean, I've been on TV because of it. I filmed a reality show because of it. I mean, you name it, it's happened for me. So I'm just hoping more things happen for me.
I think what helps is that you can look at it from a different perspective. A lot of people are leading with emotion. A lot of people are going with conspiracy theories. They're not really focusing on evidence. They're focusing on hearsay. What people are saying that they saw in one article, one blog, and now they're like, oh my God, you're right? I never saw that. But you're looking at it very much logistically. This is what we're given. This is what they're showing the public, and this is what I'm getting out of it. Now, is there something that you saw that you were like, from my perspective as a police detective, I knew that this was going to end up being the way it ended up? Did you have a moment like that?
You mean with Kohlberger case? I would say with the Kohlberger case, in fact, I just did a video while you were talking. I went outside to do a video because news just came in from News Nation, and I said this from the beginning. The trial was supposed to start October 2nd. I've been telling my followers since last year when we started talking about this case, there's no way this is happening that quick. This case won't be until 2024. And it was proven today. So I went out there and said, I told you guys this is going to happen. What defense strategy does is they continue things. Why? Because time heals feelings. When that first happened, everybody's mad. Everybody's mad, right? 6 months later, I'm still a little mad. A year later, I'm still a little mad. 2 years later, what case are we even talking about? People forget. It's human nature. So defense attorneys continue things so people forget. That's a truth. That's a defense strategy. Sorry, criminal defense attorneys. I'm giving your strategy away, but that's what they do. And it just came right now, the Kohlberger case, just this minute. They're continuing it. So it's probably 2024.
Yeah, I mean, that's what basically always happens.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to know, well, what's the verdict? You know, who they find guilty, all that stuff. But they're like, oh, no, they're not even going to trial until another year from now. But you can see how by then, people are looking at things a little differently. They're focusing on different things versus like, no, we know you did it. But like, they don't have anything to back that knowing. Right? And so with JonBenet Ramsey, and then, because we can talk about this because there's so many podcasts, there's so many videos on it, on who people believe did it. Unfortunately, there's many weird people out there saying I did it. Like they want to
confess to it.
Like multiple men confess to it, which is wild to me.
Crazy.
Do you have any insight to what you think if you were a detective on that case, even though they messed up?
Okay, if you want my opinion, if I was a detective, I love this question. Let me tell you, I love this case so much. I went to Boulder to see the house.
Really?
I went there. I went to Boulder. I saw the house. I wanted to see the neighborhood it was in. It's in a rich neighborhood, okay? I don't see a serial killer running around. I just don't, okay? I just don't. The cops were horrible. When I tell you horrible, they were worse than the O.J. Simpson case. They ruined this case. They totally ruined this case. When you go to a missing girl like that, okay, as soon as I got called her, everybody out of the house, and I'm going to search this home. Everybody, parents, everybody, I'm getting a search warrant for the house and everybody out. They left them people in there. That's police work 101. Horrible. They let the father find her. So now the father's DNA and everything's on her, picked her up, brought her upstairs. It was horrible. Now, to that point, I read a book of their interviews, that the father and mother. I totally believe they had nothing to do with it. You're going to be shocked about that probably. But I believe the parents had nothing to do with this, but I do believe it was somebody that knew the parents.
Yeah. I don't believe the parents did either.
Yeah. I do believe it was somebody that knew the parents, somebody that knew this girl, and they were obsessed with her, they were sickos, and they broke in this house and did this. I totally believe the parents didn't do it, and I don't believe her 10-year-old brother at the time or 8-year-old brother did this, because she was brutally murdered. They choked her with that thing, and her brother at 8 or 10 years old did not do this. No. You know, I hate when they blame him for it. I feel bad. Could you imagine growing up and being blamed for your sister's murder when you had nothing to do with it?
Exactly.
You know, so that case bothers me.
Yeah, and then, like, to this day, like, and it's upsetting because I know her mother did pass, and she never really kind of got peace with that. But, you know, it takes a lot to strangle someone. If you don't believe, like, it takes a lot of strength and, like, you know, so to have another child, like, to that extent, but especially being raised like that, they always have money. She was a pageant girl. To be a pageant girl, your family has to have money in a way. Yeah. But it's wild. It continues to go down. It's one of those that's like annoying because you just want the answer. Like, who did it? Right. Someone say it. Like, the whole cold cases bother me in general. Yes. Because I'm like, oh God, I can't. Yes. So.
Totally. That case bothers me, the Natalie Holloway case. Yes. We kind of know who did that, though. Mm-hmm. You know, we know that guy did it. They just can't convict him on the murder charge. But this case, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's ever going to be solved because they made too many mistakes. And it's so important that first cop at any crime scene, he's got to do his job. If he doesn't do his job, the crime scene's going to be messed up. Yeah. That first officer on that scene's got to do his job, and they didn't in this case.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad that you voice those things on your channel and you're able to voice it now, so you can kind of really not stick up, because a lot of people are like, oh no, like no one's gonna blame their fellow cop, they're gonna, you know, cover them up, all that stuff, but you're literally blatantly saying, no, like, you messed up.
They messed up big time.
I call me from another cop, you failed and it's your fault. Like,
yes, they messed up big time. They missed a bit, and I will call the cops out, but I will also say the cops are right if they're right. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way, and I tell my followers that, right?
As you should. Yeah. You don't want to feed a narrative that's not true, but you also want to pinpoint, hey, like, we are human at the same time. You guys aren't entirely wrong. Right. But you guys aren't also entirely right. Exactly. Right? Like, and you're changing the way of that whole view on using social media to your advantage. Yes. You know, I'm sure you get a lot of haters. Oh, God. I was viewing you, like, sometimes pinpoint, and you do a video based on what people are saying.
Did you see that?
I've seen multiple out there. I'm like, I don't know who you're talking to, but that's not my name. Like,
I was kidding, Guy called me Jesus.
Like, I don't know.
He said, "Will you shut up already, Jesus?" And I'm like, "I'm not Jesus. I'm Danny."
Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know who you're talking to. You must have commented on the wrong video. Yeah. But there's one more question that I do ask every one of my guests, because it kind of sums up them as a whole and their passion for what they do. But is there a philosophy that you live by?
Yeah, and I heard you ask the last guest, so I was thinking, hey, that's a good question. I love that question. This is what I always say. Did you ever hear the song that Garth Brooks said, The Dance? I don't know if you ever heard that song, The Dance. He's basically saying, if you get a chance to dance, you dance. Okay? Okay? And he talks about when he misses a loved one passed away. Listen, I miss you, but I'm always going to remember to dance. This is the way I look at things. If you get an opportunity in life, you take it. You take every single opportunity. Every time somebody asks me to be on a show, I do it. I don't care if it's the smallest show. I don't care if it's the smallest podcast. You don't know who's watching. You don't know what's going on. Take every single chance that is offered to you. A lot of people live in fear, okay? You live in fear, you're going nowhere in this life. You have to take chances. You have to be a gambler. You have to be a hustler. Or you know what? You're just going to be sitting on your couch watching TV. Right. And that's the truth. You have to be a hustler. Mm-hmm. So my thing is take every single chance that comes. I tell my kids that. Yeah. I said, even when I'm gone, take every single chance that ever comes your way.
Yeah. So I love that. Yeah. That's a good thing to push people, because you're watching someone else live your dream. You're sitting at home being like, dang, I could have done that. And you could. Yes. It's not limited to any one gender, anything like that. If you're an able person, you're out here. You know, no excuses. But maybe this is more of the East Coast, Midwest mentality, maybe, you know, where we're like, what's the problem? What are we doing here?
And like, just what I say to you now, you know, I never in my life thought I'd be a content creator, you know, but now I'm making a living doing social media. I mean, never.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever did I think that
you
would
could
happen.
do that from home. You
Yes.
sit there in your office or something,
Yes.
just like us, or you walk out, you're on the go.
Yes.
You step outside.
That's what I just did.
Right.
I thought, something came up. I zoomed right out and did a video. So you just don't know. So take every chance.
Yeah. And
That's
now
my
you're
philosophy.
hosting.
Yes.
And now it's great. And you're just learning more. You're meeting people.
Learning more. My goal is, I would love to be like on a news station. I'd be like the guy that the news calls in and says, we got an expert on this case. That's what I want to be. Something like that. Some kind of news guy. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's my goal. That's my hope.
Or the guys that go to like me and they're the cops that are finding
Yes.
bodies like me. And I feel like that's something that you would do.
What, like me?
Yeah, because there are some cops that I know that go out and they're finding bodies on like me.
Well, I went viral over that, right? I went viral over the Lake Mead body. I ended up having a reality show that we filmed, but it wasn't picked up.
Okay. Because I know that there were some cops that were doing, I saw there was an article of you talking about those things, but I can see you being definitely one of those people that are going to continue to push that and going out there, finding it, solving these cases from back in the day, digging up.
Mafia.
Right.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for everything. Tell people where to find you, what your handles
Listen,
are.
it's simple. I'm only on TikTok. I am on Instagram, but I only really focus on TikTok. It's The Crime Solver. Make sure you put the Crime Solver. And that's it. You'll find me. And listen, you'll be entertained. You might hate me. I might be too loud, but you'll be entertained.
You do scream.
I do scream, but I'm entertaining. I just don't give you the news. You're entertained.
Yeah, I mean, this is just your style. This is how you talk normally.
Right.
It's not a show.
It's not a show.
I was thinking of asking you, is it a persona that you also put on? But I realized it's just you, and I love
That's
it.
me. Yeah,
it's even better. It's
persona.
even better that it's just you're authentically yourself. You don't have to put on an act. You're just like, anyway, guys, here I am.
Wait to hear this. That's what I usually do.
Everyone, Danny, the Crime Solver. Thank you so much for being on my show. It's your first time on the hot seat. I'm glad to have you here. I hope that you had a great time.
Awesome.
You're, exposing yourself in your truest form, talking about you and your passions, and we love to hear it. So,
All right, thank you.
Yes. When we come back, I'm not done talking, so don't go anywhere quite yet. The show is not over, but make sure to follow the Crime Solver.
Thank you.